If the United States went to war tomorrow, you wouldn't put me in charge of the war. I mean, while I did serve in the US Air Force, I was an accountant. I flew a desk. You would want to put somebody in charge of the war who has flown planes in combat, or captained ships in combat, or quite frankly, been on the ground with troops firing rifles in combat. You want a warfighter to lead the war. And I don't think this mindset of practitioners becoming leaders is unique to the US military. I think this happens with a lot of companies. The founders did the thing before they became CEOs of big global companies. And this got me thinking about Uber. In fact, yesterday, someone asked me, hey, if you had 5 minutes with Dara Khosrowshahi, what would you tell him? Surprisingly, I wouldn't talk with him about driver pay. I wouldn't talk with him about fixes to the apps. All important. What I would try to do is talk with him about the challenges his company is going to have in the future from a driver's perspective. Hi, my name is Levi Spires. This is the Tip You in the App Daily Drive podcast. Today's Daily Drive podcast is brought to you by the Gig You app. In this podcast episode, I'll tell you the 4 things that I will tell Dara if I had 5 minutes with him. But first, let me do 2 more things. 1, Uber is a successful company. It's an amazing company. The fact that you can go onto your phone and basically anywhere in America, get a human with a driver in a car coming to pick you up. It's pretty amazing. Or order food, get a package delivered. It's pretty amazing. And kudos to Travis for creating this company and coming up with the idea, bulldogging it through, getting it launched, and then Dara leading it to profitability. This doesn't mean I excuse any of the challenges as a driver that I have with the app, the problems that I have with the way the app functions, the way the app treats drivers. There are issues, and of course, driver pay. But on the whole, it is a successful global company and it should be acknowledged. The second thing, though, before I tell Dara anything, I think we should acknowledge what I think is the upcoming problem. And it's not just autonomous cars and AI. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. First, Uber is the leader. There is Lyft, but Uber is the leader in this industry of rideshare. Now, who are the competitors? Waymo, Tesla Robotaxi, and Zoox with Amazon. Okay, if those are the competitors, let's just size them up for a second. What are they good at? Waymo is with Google, Robotaxi, Tesla, Amazon, Zoox. They're app companies. They're software companies. Google, Amazon, Tesla, they're amazing at software. And I think that's what Uber's moat is right now. They're an amazing piece of software on an app. So their competitors are coming, yeah, they have autonomous cars, but they're really good at developing apps. So today, what I think could happen if you're in a city where I have options, I might open my phone and go, let's look at the price for Uber. Let's look at the price for Lyft. Let's look at the price for Waymo. Let's look at the price for Tesla. And I could shop on my phone these solutions. We might look at them as like Uber has human drivers and Waymo has autonomous cars, but I'm still just trying to get from point A to point B, and I've got solutions on my phone, so these options. But in the future, the very near future, what is going to happen? I'm going to go to my phone and I'm going to be like, hey, ChatGPT, find me a ride. I need to get from here to there. And ChatGPT is going to then open Uber, Lyft, Robotaxi, Waymo. It's going to call taxi companies for me. It's going to know my budget, the kind of car that I need, or like, when I need to be, where I need to be. It's going to have all of those details and instantaneously shop all of the solutions. So what makes Uber great today is this highly functioning app. The competitors are coming along are already A, developing apps, but B, we're not even going to need apps in the future. We're going to just have our AI agent do the shopping for us. So knowing all that, what is the differentiator? What makes Uber different than Waymo, Tesla, Amazon? It's the driver, the human drivers, because they're all building autonomous fleets with great apps. Uber is getting into the autonomous world the same way they are, but Uber has drivers today. And what does that really mean? Well, drivers have experience and knowledge. In fact, that's the first thing I would tell Dara is I would be like, hey, you should lean into your drivers, especially drivers that have done tens of thousands of rides, that have been doing it for years. There's institutional knowledge and value in those drivers. I don't think Uber looks at drivers like me, any different than they look at a driver who signs up today. If another person in my neighborhood here in the city of Syracuse decided they wanted to be an Uber driver, they go online, download the app, start today. They're at ride 1, I'm at ride 15,000. Uber does not see any value and treats me any way different than that other driver. In fact, that other driver probably gets bonuses and gets paid more because they're signed up and they're trying to get them involved in the app. They see us as equal, even though I've done like 8,500 5-star rides. I get tips on all these different rides. I'm an experienced driver. And if you are an experienced driver, you know what I mean. We bring value for Uber. We represent Uber from a customer service perspective. Yet there's Uber doesn't recognize it. And I'm not just asking for more pay. I'm saying if I'm Dara, how can I gain an advantage with that knowledge that these drivers with a lot of experience bring to the market that these other my competitors don't have? How to maintain a vehicle, how to position and park a vehicle perfectly so a passenger can get in the car safely. Small little things, it matters. And while it seems easy, it's not as easy as people think. The second thing I would recommend for Dara is I would say you need to continue to drive. And so do your leaders of the company. So does everybody in your company. They all should be involved, a practitioner of the game of getting people from point A to point B. I'm not saying you have to drive every day. I don't know what the right threshold is, but if everybody in your company has never done this business, you might be missing out on, again, knowledge or opportunities to learn things that maybe other people haven't learned. Waymo is never going to have their people physically drive cars because that's not their gig. Their gig is autonomous cars. But Uber, your job today is humans driving cars, getting people from point A to point B. And if none of your leaders, if you, Dara, don't do this on some sort of recurring basis, you're not a practitioner of what your app really does. Because when I go as a consumer and I go into Uber and I order a ride, I want to be driven. Whether it's an autonomous car or not, it doesn't really matter. I just need to get from point A to point B. And I'm surprised that Uber sees itself as an app company, but doesn't leverage, again, training itself, the employees, understanding how to do that job. The third thing is, because Uber has cash flow now, is go back into world-class customer service. Not that, I don't know if they've ever had it, I guess, but lean into that. Right now, I made a podcast yesterday. Uber's customer service is the worst on the planet. It's so bad. Dealing with a chat, dealing with, remote agents in foreign countries that kind of speak English, but I'm trying to talk to them over the phone, it is so difficult. And it seems like, again, Uber's customer service is designed to frustrate. at least drivers. I imagine it's the same for passengers. Now, going back to the other two things I just talked about, drivers and becoming a driver, we as drivers are your first line of customer service. There's millions of drivers out there on the road, and people see us as Uber drivers. Uber drivers. My Uber has showed up. They see me. I'm not an employee, but they see me representing Uber. And Uber's relationship with drivers is so bad, it's so negative, that you've got all these disgruntled people driving around representing your company. Now, more pay would help for sure. A better functioning app and better customer service when I call and have a problem would really help. But there's other ways that Uber could lean into helping drivers represent them well for customer service. I don't have all the answers, but what does it look like when it's all done? Drivers that are professional, that are dressed appropriately, in cars that are well operated, maybe not well operated, well maintained, clean, and drivers that are safe, and finding ways to reward drivers that meet that criteria. If you paid drivers to have a clean car, I'm not sure how to do that, but if you paid them, they would. If you rewarded them, if you recognized them somehow, some way, you would get that. Now, the fourth thing, consistency. I wanted to say transparency is what I would like to have, what I would tell Dara if I met him. I want more transparency. But maybe, to be fair, I do, after the ride happens, I do see a lot of the numbers, and there is that level of transparency. And no, there isn't transparency on how the rides are calculated, what I'm getting as a fare. There's a lot of, it's not transparent would be a better way to say it. But consistency, not consistency in pay. I know there's things that I'm not saying if I turn the app on, I should be paid X dollar amount per hour or whatever. And I know that supply and demand controls how many rides I get or what I don't get. But I think consistency in the way the app delivers a fare to me would be the best thing. Right now, it's a big game. A ride comes in, and there's a fare, with a dollar amount and minutes and miles, and there's all this information. I don't need to know how it's calculated. I just need to know consistently that the reason why it was calculated the way it is, it's consistent, if that makes sense. It doesn't necessarily mean even need a rate card. It could be during this time of day, these are the fares, and this is how they're calculated. And this time of day, these are how. It's so random. It's so gamified, the way the app functions. That's what's really frustrating. Consistency, when I go into the chat and I talk with an agent, some level of consistency, and I know how it's going to get resolved. I'm not trying to trick Uber when I go into customer service. I'm just trying to get something resolved. There's just no consistency with it. Every time I Uber drive, it's a big game. And some of it is, again, a game that's not controlled by Uber. We don't know when people are going to order rides. We don't know how many drivers are going to get online. There's a lot of pieces to it that are naturally inconsistent. Roads, weather, you name it. And that's part of being a driver. And I accept that. But having the app be the consistent, highly functioning thing that adds clarity, so I guess some level of transparency, that would be the best. That would be really helpful. Now, I don't think Dara is going to see this podcast. I don't think Uber likes their drivers. I don't think Uber respects their drivers. I don't think Uber cares. I think Uber is on a race to replace drivers and compete with Waymo and Robotaxi and Zoox and anybody else in the world of autonomous cars. I think that they see that there'll be more profitability, more higher margins, and I understand that. I'm not naive. And quite frankly, I might even be the right veteran driver to talk to. I'm not saying I'm the perfect guy to represent drivers to some extent. I just feel there's an opportunity lost when Uber's one thing that makes them unique compared to these competitors is drivers. And Uber, instead of leaning into it and having a solid relationship with drivers in the business of driving people, Uber is very hands off with it. And they have an anti they treat drivers poorly, and drivers, instead of being representing Uber from a customer service perspective, we are a lot of us drive around disgruntled, talking bad about the app, talking bad about the Uber brand, and that can't be good for Uber. I don't know. If you had 5 minutes with Dara, what would you tell him? What would you talk with him about? Drivers for 2026, in addition to making money, and I do want to make money, I want to have a good time being a driver. I want to kind of get back to my roots of why I decided I wanted to be a driver. And yeah, I want you to be safe. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want you to check out the sponsors, by the way, Redtiger and Gig. But please be safe, healthy, and happy, and know that I am cheering for you guys. My name is Levi Spires. Please be well. Bye.